Welcome back to another review, guys. Last Saturday, I had the pleasure of watching Mary J. Blige presents "Be Happy" based on her hit song "Be Happy" from the from her one of her albums called the My Life album by Mary J. Blige. Now let's get right back into the review. So, Be Happy is about a woman named Val, played by the one and only Tisha Campbell, with empty nesting feelings, loneliness, and growing emotional distance from her husband Ross. She begins to realize that her marriage, and the woman she once was may be slipping away. And so she goes on a kind of eat, pray, love journey to find herself. Let's get right back into it. So Val, played by the one and only Tisha Campbell. First of all, I want to say, not only is this produced by Mary J. Blige, this was Gabourey Sidibe. Shout out to Good Sis. Directorial debut on this movie. Shout out to her. Also in the movie are Russell Hornsby, playing Tisha's husband in the movie by the name of Ross, and Mekhi Phifer, playing Peter Mosley, who was her little side boo. And so let's continue the review. And so this movie, according to IDMB, follows 50-year-old Val, again played by Tisha Campbell. The other review I read to you was from a Lifetime, but I want you guys to know that she's a devoted wife and a stay-at-home mom who seeks to reignite the spark in her marriage after her child heads for college. So in the beginning of the movie, we see We Are Partying. It is a send-off party for their son Jeremiah, who is going to college. At this point, they're empty nesters. Also at the party is her older daughter, Kayla, who is played by Zane Ashford, who is pregnant and has a husband of her own. Her husband is played by Sky Black in this small role. And so then she tries, after Ross and Val, that's her husband in the movie, played by Russell Hornsby. They go to drop off their son Jeremiah off at college. Now they're empty nesters, and so she puts on her nice lingerie, hoping to get jiggy with her man, hoping to be intimate. And he just kind of shuts her off, and he's been shutting her off for a while because she has a talk with her girlfriends. They come over for a little powwow, a little girls' night, and she lets them know she has not been intimate with her husband for 3 years. Like, it's been dry. Like, he just seems to have lost interest in her, sexually. And so she's trying to reignite the spark in her marriage. So she tries to tell her husband, hey, let's go to couples therapy. Let's try to work things out because, I'm not happy. I don't feel, sexually satisfied in this relationship. And so Ross, played by Russell Hornsby, he's like, I'm not interested in going to therapy. It's a common misconception that some, Black people have. Oh, therapy is for crazy people. I'm not going to therapy. And Val is hurt. She feels like at this point, you don't care about our marriage. And so as a result, Val, played by Tisha Campbell, says, I can't stay here. She literally says that. She's a single. I can't stay here. So she decides to go to New Orleans to go stay with her daughter, Kayla, and help her until she gives birth, because she just needed a break from their marriage. While, she was away, he missed her a lot because, of course, she's been a stay-at-home mom. So she caters to her husband, clean, cook, everything. But he's not willing to, reciprocate in terms of paying attention to her, and, giving her the quality time that she asks for. She asks him to retire. He's not willing to. He has a car named Betty that he gives all his attention to. He touched that car more than he touched his wife. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. You know what I'm saying? And so she goes to New Orleans, NOLA, as they call it, to go on her eat, pray, love journey. And she ends up going into an art gallery, and it reignites her passion for art history and the arts. And the art curator in the gallery, played by Cameron J. Ross, who plays Jacoby, who also happens to be one of the writers in the movie, congrats to him, decides to give her a job as an art curator in New Orleans. And it reignites again her passion, her love for the arts, that she had to give up when she decided to become a stay-at-home mom and a devoted wife. And so while that spark comes alive, she meets Peter Mosley, who happens to be a photographer, played by Mekhi Phifer. And Mekhi Phifer photographs her after meeting. They go out. He takes her out of the town, holds her a good time. He photographs her like naked. And, she takes off her robe, and she discovers, her beauty again. And being with Peter Mosley, Mekhi is the real life person who plays him, really help her to find her sexy again. Next thing you know, they sleep together, and she feels bad because she's having At this point, she's having an affair on her husband who is back home. And so, with that being said, she decides to ask her son-in-law, played by Sky Black, like, hey, what are the options for divorce? And at this point, Kayla is so mad. She's like, oh my God, why are you thinking about divorcing dad? She's just like, I'm unhappy. I don't know what to do. And so with that being said, it's time for the baby shower. So her girls come over. Her girls are Miss Pat and some other ladies who came on to the movie. Her girls are Miss Pat. Who else is one of her girls? Tracy Bonner, Charmaine, and Kenya as well as one of her girls. So they come over to the baby shower in NOLA, and she's letting them know, hey, I met this guy, Makai. I slept with him. I'm thinking about divorcing my husband. They're like, wait, slow your roll. One of the friends is like, yo, do things the right way. If you decide to leave your husband, then you can be with this man. And then fast forward, we go to a night where we're having, the gallery's opening. She is the curator for the night, and she's giving, the tours. And Mackay Pfeiffer, debuts some art about her. And so while there, her and Peter Mosley, played by Mackay Pfeiffer, and Val, played by Tisha Campbell, they get into a really bad argument. And basically, he tells him, she finds out while at the art exhibit, right? She finds two of his exes there who happen to be women. And so then the women end up kissing each other. All of a sudden, they're together. I was like, ooh, that's spicy. Come to find out, Peter Mosley, played by Mackay Pfeiffer, is poly, and she didn't know that, so she was shocked by that. And I hate when a woman does this, but she throws it back in his face. You're just a person who, a boy who grew up without a mama, and you don't like women, and now this is why you treat women the way that you do. Throwing it strong back in his face. And then he goes, you're just an old woman, basically. You don't know who you want. Not the ageism on a black woman. Anyway, that argument did not end well. And so at this point, guess who comes to town? Her husband, Ross. Why does he come to town, you ask? Is because, her daughter, Kayla, has gone into labor. And so her daughter, Kayla, came through with the wisdom. They have a heart to heart. And she tells her daughter, hey, I'm sorry. I ended up having an affair on your father. It was Peter Mosley, this artist. He awakened a part in me I didn't know that I had. And then so Kayla confessed, like, hey, in the beginning of the marriage, things were tough for her too. She began to reconnect with a high school sweetheart. And she had to decide, to choose, the past or to move forward with her husband. She decided to move forward with her husband. And then when Ross comes back, her husband, he comes back into town for the birth of his grandson. He's looking at his wife. He's like, you look beautiful. And at this point, Ross will do anything to make it work. And Tisha Campbell says, the best line in the movie, I'll never forget. She says, I don't want to give you directions on how to love me. Bars, Tisha, bars. Anyway, needless to say, I give this a 10 out of 10. So at this point, I'm not going to spoil the end for you guys. Do you think that Tisha Campbell, aka Val, chooses, to forge a future with her new man, Peter Mosley, who invites her to France to travel the way she's always wanted? Or does she go back to her forever love, her husband, Ross, played by Russell Thornton? Or does she just choose herself? Tune in to find out. Now streaming on Frdnly, Philo, and the Lifetime app. No login required. Thank you for listening and have a good night.